Hello there, everyone. Patricia here. And today we're going to be talking about celebrating good times, or maybe not so good times, but the lessons learned from them. Yes? Because here's the thing, one thing I've learned for sure over the years is that there's a whole lot more worth celebrating than we actually give time to. And I am a huge advocate of making sure that we do that. And as a matter of fact, I spent a lot of time building out a whole initiative around celebrating yourself and your people and your life. So we're going to dig in a little bit on this because it's been a celebration season. There's been graduation, there's been award winning, there's all kinds of things going on. All the things that people like to celebrate on the surface, and I'm going to talk a little bit about celebrating those things that go below the surface a little bit more and taking a deeper look so that when you see someone engage in a celebration that you might be like, oh, that's a little extra. Well, besides being a little judgmental, you also don't know what they went through in order to get to the point to be able to celebrate. So I own it. There was a time I might have been one of those like, that's a little much, right? That's a little extra. And now I'm like, have at it because I don't know your story, right? But I do know mine. And I know that there are things that I celebrate today that I might not have in years past. And I am all in on making sure to celebrate good times, overcoming times, all the things, because in today's world and our lives, it really does matter. And you really do not know what you are potentially, how you are helping someone else to grow along the way when they see you be able to step up and celebrate a situation, a moment, an experience that might otherwise go untapped, right? So here's the thing, my my motto has become, great or small, celebrate them all the moments, all the opportunities. My friends and family have just gotten, you know, they're just done with me a lot of times because I'm always trying to take pictures of something or collecting little mementos. I like to call myself a scrapbooker, even though I don't scrapbook as much as I should for all the things. But I am the life recorder, right? I'm the memory keeper, in my family. And 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 it's been something I've just always done because to me it's worth, if it's worth doing, it's worth keeping and remembering even the not so great stuff, right? Because there are things you learn along the way and that builds into who you are as a person, builds your character, builds your experiences, builds your growth, and it's something that's going to stick with you forever, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. So you might as well acknowledge the wins that you get from the situation. I'm just saying. So that said, there's always these kind of categories that we might want to lump a celebration into, right? You got your major accomplishments, let's say someone who graduates from high school or college, you've earned an advanced degree, or let's say you've got this big promotion, a new job, like all the things that people think about, as far as being quote major and things that people expect us to celebrate, right? And we're celebrating that accomplishment in and of itself. But what I really want to talk about is going below the surface a little bit and thinking about, what are you really celebrating in that moment, right? How about the long nights, the the lonely days, of putting things out, the days of eating ramen. If you're a college student, remember there were days, we all been there, where we're like, oh my God, I don't have any more money to go pay for this. And you're calling friends and y'all are scraping your funds together, right? These are the things, these things build upon each other to create the experience that leads to that final accomplishment, that whatever that end point might be, right? And those are things that we're really celebrating, right? It's not just getting a piece of paper and putting it on a wall. I personally, like my degrees, I've earned them decades ago. And guess what? They are all still up on my wall in my office space. Why? Because I busted my butt. I know what I went through to get those pieces of paper. They are more than pieces of paper. They are acknowledgement from external sources that, yeah, you went through something to earn this. And the other piece that's not a degree, but just as important, is my bar license. I mean, that one's front and center, made sure. Some people don't, but I do, because it's a reminder to me when I see that, not just like, oh, I'm a lawyer and I've been, certified by the state of Texas to be able to practice law. No, it's a reminder that even after going through 3 years of law school in another state, that I came home, I studied for weeks for and sat through a 3-day bar exam, because back then that's how long it was, 3 days, and waited another 3 months after that to get the results. Not joking. So you do all of that, you finish the 3 years, you study some more through the summer. Whenever I took mine in August, sat through that 3-day exam, and then wait 3 months for results that you truly don't know. It's like you're hanging in the balance of whether or not you're going to be able to like work for real as a lawyer, to receive that acknowledgement that yes, you passed the bar and you have met the requirements to be able to practice law in this state. And I know what it took to get there, going through difficult relationships at the time, moving back and forth across the country, because that's what was going on. I was doing that. Um, all the things. So there's a story behind those pieces of paper. There's a story behind that person who's, given the antics, up on the stage. And guess what? They get to do it. I just, especially in today's world where there's so much that seems like there's not anything to celebrate, you absolutely get to celebrate when you put in the time to earn um, a degree, to earn a huge promotion, to earn a new job that you've built up, right, in order to get to that point. So those major accomplishments, we generally know what those are, but I want you to think more about what's behind that, what's the story behind that. And for that person, you may or may not ever know, but be mindful of the fact that there is one, and that as a result, they get to celebrate with them, for them, you know, because there is something there worth celebrating. The second one, what I've just labeled as the not so minor wins. And these are those stories that literally they will tug at your heart when you hear it behind. Because again, a lot of times you're not knowing what the full story is behind someone being able to say, oh, they're walking again, or that they're able to run this marathon, not knowing that they just, got uh, a, a prognosis of being cleared from cancer, right? As And so now they're able to do this. Like, these are the things that, they're not minor wins; they're huge wins. They're just not the wins that we always think about, right? Um, Even though people can appreciate it, and there's a level of gratitude, a level of respect when you hear those stories, when you hear those moments, because, you know, a lot of times they get really personal with what has been overcome, whether it's something in the workplace, whether it's a health crisis that's been overcome, whether it's a financial situation where you've waded through and you came out on the other side victorious, right? They're not the things that people generally go around bragging about, right? It's not like the degree or the new job. You're like, yes, look what I got it. It's literally a quiet walk around the block because you're just glad to be alive, right? And that's why I say those are the not so minor wins because they're not minor at all. They're very impactful moments that everyone may or may not know the story about, but you do. And maybe your close friends or someone else. But know that when that story gets shared, that others will want to celebrate with you as well. I'm always taken aback when I learn about that. It never ceases to amaze me when someone that I may have known for years, and I learned more recently or something that there was this piece of information that they never put out there a lot, but it came to the head as a result of something else. And you're learning this is what they had to deal with to get to this point. And it's like, wow, you know? And these are the things that sometimes we just kind of brush because maybe there's some shame attached to it, or, there's some, but it's like they deserve to be celebrated just as much, right? As those major accomplishments, because making it to the other side of a cancer prognosis is a major thing. Um, Making it to the other side of a huge financial um, problem or situation or health crisis of some sort is a major accomplishment. It's just not the one that people go looking for to celebrate. They more they they more often get revealed in the midst of something. And then I've got this third kind of one that I say is our daily dozen, right? And these are the quote little things that just happen on the regular throughout the day. You know, let's say if you're loving again after a huge betrayal, or being able to make friends again after losing some key ones, or maybe you're just enjoying the quote boring things after you've stopped being stressed out by the rest of your life. Or maybe it's even saying no to the chronic boundary abuser, whatever it might be. Those things are not so little. They help us to grow. They're moments of growth points where it's worth celebrating as well, because it's not always about what someone else is going to recognize as a celebration point, but what you recognize, what you've overcome, what you're willing to acknowledge to yourself, if no one else, of, you know what, I did that. I was having difficulty being able to say no to this person, and I did that. I was having difficulties letting go of doing way too much. Hello, that's me. And I did that. And the reminders of being able to do that can lead to a greater confidence in knowing that you could do it again, and that you can build up your strength to be able to meet the next challenge that may come in your life. Seemingly no big thing, right? We all have life moments. Those life moments are worth celebrating. They absolutely are. Don't let anyone take that away from you. So, whatever the experience, the moment, the opportunity, sometimes it's just a matter of celebrating an opportunity. It doesn't even have to come to fruition. It's just a matter that someone saw something and sent it your way, or recognized the work you've done. And they're like, yes. And you're like, oh my gosh. Because sometimes we need that boost, right? I know I've down through the years, I've had those moments where there was a boost to my morale that was unexpected, that I completely celebrate, because even if that moment didn't come to fruition, it helped me it helped pave the way for me to get to the next level of whatever it is I was trying to get to. So I just want to, remind you to celebrate you and all that you do in all the ways each and every day because it truly does matter. It is empowering. It is uh, powerful. It is a strengthening of your muscles to grow uh, to the next best level of who you are and who you want to be in this world. So those are my words of encouragement to you. So I'd love to hear about what you're going to celebrate for yourself in the coming days and weeks. Nothing is too small. So let me hear from you in the comments. And meanwhile, I hope that you will hit the thumbs up and the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this out to someone else who needs to know that there is something worth celebrating for themselves and encourage them to do so. Right? Take care.